Paxton. Jack wants to ask Ken, why did you vote for a bill that decreased state funding for Allen ISD by $11 million a year rather than using the rainy day fund?
Well, let me say this, education funding since 2001 in real dollars, inflation adjusted, is up about 70%, while population growth is about 18%. So, so that means we've increased funding every single biennium except for last session. Last session, state funding wasn't cut, but the stimulus dollars that went to education were cut. And so we basically had about the same funding at the state level, and we had a reduction at the federal level. Now, here's the difference between the federal government and the state government. The federal government can print dollars. We don't print dollars. We have so much money, and we have to decide how we're going to spend it. And education, of almost any year, took the least amount of cut. Now, taking money out of the rainy day fund is a little bit tricky, and the reason I say that is we use that money, the more money, if we have enough money in that rainy day fund, the borrowing that we do, we're able to do at a lower rate. We start taking money out of the rainy day fund, we increase the cost of borrowing money. And so there's some downside. We also, in my opinion, the rainy day fund ought to be used for emergencies. And the fact that our revenues were lower for the first time in years, to me, was not an excuse to go raid the entire rainy day fund to spend on whatever we wanted to spend. And so here we are 2 years later, out of an entire period from 2001 till now, we increased funding by about 70%, remember, in inflation-adjusted dollars, and we had to back off one session. And so as per capita income in this state and other parts of the country has declined over the last 4 years, I don't think we should be spending more on state government, and everybody's going to have to take their share of that reduced revenue.
Okay, and Ed, let me make a little announcement before I hand you. Folks, there aren't enough seats, so any of you folks that are in the back that would like to sit down, please feel free to grab a chair from the stack.
Yeah.
Is there still enough room in the back row? But if you want to take a chair and sit a little closer, that's okay too. So, Ed, I'm sorry to break the train of thought, but it's your.
Not a problem. I wrote it down.
You wrote it down. Good. That was clever of you. Thank you, sir.
I just kind of sketched what but I think this is an interesting question just from the systemic thing problem. Now, federal government, state government, left pocket, right pocket to you and I. I mean, that's the challenge that we see. This is another good example of how we've allowed the federal government to come in and take control of the state from a funding perspective. This shouldn't be at all. The Fed should not be involved in education at all, and we should have stopped it a long time ago. But because it was a Republican president and passing No Child Left Behind, we're all like, yeah, let's bring it on, because it's a Republican president. And this is the stuff that has to stop, folks. We're all questioning stuff like, well, Obama has too much power. Well, you know where we got too much power in the presidency? Under George Bush, because we didn't stop it then. These are the things that we have to start changing the way we think about this. So it's a culture. By the way, just because I have a 15 seconds just to mention, I'm in favor of vouchers, or more importantly, I would rather see us fund education through a tax credit system.
Ed, there you go, thank you. Jack, your comment or rebuttal?
They tax you more than they need to so they can put money into the rainy day fund for when things are bad. And yet they don't actually use it for the things they promised they're going to use it for, which is when it rains, they're going to use the money to make up for shortfalls. I think that's wrong. I think the rainy day fund is there for the purpose of holding over the budget when bad things happen, when the economy goes south. And choosing not to use the rainy day fund and instead cut money out of the education system is wrong.
Okay. Now we get question number 4. Going back through again. Ed Class is asking of Jack Turner.